If you guys are not seated, please, again, let's show respect to our candidates, and we'll get that thing squared away. Okay, this is going to be for the office of presidential candidates. Michael Catalano sitting right next to me. Salvatore DeBunda, Esquire, in the middle. Robert Hutt, Bob Hutt down at the end as well. These are our three candidates for president. Gentlemen, the format will be very similar to what we have done, just a little bit more time. So you're each going to get a 3-minute introduction. We will go through that. If we do have any kind of little things with the microphone, we'll just make sure that we get that sorted to give you your fair 3 minutes. Then we're going to have the general question. It'll be the same question for each candidate that we will go through. You will have 1 minute to respond to that question. Then we are going to have 6 randomly selected questions. They were emailed or submitted to the PTHA office, and this is for the folks that are watching out there on the live stream as well on Facebook. There will be 2 questions each, basically. They are addressed specifically to that candidate, and the way that we will draw them, we will ask 2 questions to Mr. Catalano, 2 questions to Mr. DeBunda, and 2 questions to Mr. Hutt. Then we're going to have our questions from the floor. When you ask those questions, we're going to take 6 of those questions. Please make sure that you let us know who you are, what the question is, and which candidate you would like to address that question to. I'd probably like to stay away from just the blanket question for all 3 candidates, but I'll check with the PTHA team if they would like to go ahead and do that as well. And then after that, we'll go ahead with a 2-minute final statement from each candidate. So if everybody is ready to go, cell phones are off, we will get things underway. Once again, I do encourage you're representing the association out there, folks. So as you do watch, as we go through the end and the presidential candidates here for the Meet the Candidates, please make sure that we do stay respectful. You can, of course, have your opinions and share your opinions, but please be respectful of one another on Facebook where you're watching there for PTHA. Okay, if we are ready, let's get things underway. Mr. Catalano, I will start with you. 3 minutes introduction. Again, we've got the bell. Once you hear the bell, please do wrap things up. With that being said, 3 minutes.
First, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out today. The last time they had this Meet the Candidates, there was nobody there. It was just cockroaches running across the floor. Today, it shows that people are concerned, they're active, and they're awake. So that's a good sign. It's a good sign for parks. It's a good sign for racing because everybody here is passionate. I've been in the horse racing business my whole life. My family's been in the business for 100 years. It's a long time. We've seen everything. I've seen it all. I've been at a racetrack that's closed down. I've moved. I've gone all over the place. About 7 years ago, I came here to Parks, and it's been very good by me. I have to tell you that. And I've planted my roots here. I've bought a home. I have a good life here, and I'm very happy with, the surroundings and just being here in general. That being said, when COVID hit, I realized that, we had problems. I could see the problems coming. And I tell you what the biggest problem was. I couldn't get no answers out of anybody. I talked to people, a lot of the board members, unapproachable. They might have wanted to say that they're not, but I called people, I talked to people, I texted people. You know what? Everybody else felt the same way I felt. People were calling me. Why is that? Because they were looking for answers. And, nobody could get a hold of anybody. Yes, there are people that spoke to other people, but as you heard here today, your board members know there's problems. Let's fix them. What took so long? What took so long to address the program trainers? What's taken so long to address a lot of the rampant cheating? Why can't we communicate with people? Why is the board secretive? These are the answers I wanted to know, and I didn't get them. So I had to talk to other people. There are some members like Jack Armstrong. Call him on the phone, he picks it up, calls me back. He don't always know the answers, but he tries to get you some. We got a lot of things going on, a lot of great things here at Parks. Believe me, I've been places that don't have great things, and we have them here. Health insurance. Number one, we have great racing, top trainers, top horses. And we have an opportunity is what we have. An opportunity to keep things heading in the right direction, build from the good things that have happened in the past. And what I want to do is I want to, I want to win this, and I tell you why. Because I want to bring everybody together. I don't want there to be no more secrets and no more not knowing what's going on. And I don't want Sal DeBunda to ride off into the sunset. I want to keep him here. I want him to, make his connections felt and heard, and Bob as well. And I want to bring everybody together, and that's my goal, and that's why I'm going to run, and that's why I'm going to win here. For the little guy, for the big guy, for everybody.
Thank you very much, Mr. Catalano. Sal DeBunda, thank you. Sal DeBunda, 3 minutes. Opening statement begins now. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone for coming out today. I do agree with my predecessor here that it's really nice to see you all here and running for office. I'm the incumbent, so I'm going to try to cover things that for 27 years. That a lot of the things that were talked about here that are good things are because I worked with Mike Bellezzi to get them done. And so I appreciate everyone saying things are better here and they could get better, but I have a lot to do with what's good here, and I just want to quickly talk about that. But first of all, I'm a partner at the law firm of Archer and Griner, and I've been president of the PTHA since 2010, and I've been an owner-director since 1995. And I reside in Blue Bell, Pennsylvania, and I've been in Pennsylvania all my life. Why am I running for election? Because the truth is, when we hired Jeff Matty, I was not going to run for re-election. But the staff, specific person, requested that I run for president. That did a lot of information they wanted me to carry forth. We also have a new live racing agreement that we have to negotiate that's been put off by HISA and COVID. HISA becomes effective January 1 of 2023. Is are we going to put the effort in to be a player, or are we going to be a follower? And that's one of the things we have to deal with. We also have a new governor that's been elected, who is going to have his own new budget. So we need to be involved in negotiating that. So I've been asked to run, not because I wanted to run, but because the staff says that we need you to do this. And that's why I'm here. Just a little bit of history. Prior to slots, I got involved in 1995. I had been an owner. I was the normal, what I would call big cigar owner. I'd show up for the wins and get my picture taken, and I'd go to the barns and I would learn about horses. But I realized that people have passion. Everyone talked about passion and everybody in this room has passion about this industry and loves this industry and loves the horse. Okay, so that's why I got involved in trying to help them, because I realized 24/7 they were trying to make the horses the most important thing in their life. So I was involved initially, even before slots, in getting horsemen's rights. Used to be able to be thrown off the track. They didn't like you, you were gone. We set up a whole tier of relationship. We had to go through levels to get people thrown off. Okay. We didn't have any information. We would walk into meetings with management, and they would say, "We can't afford to give you any more money." Well, why not? We can't tell you, but we can't afford it. Because we're a private company, we don't have to tell you. Well, we took our steps to get that information. We did a new live racing agreement. We did an establishment of a horse purchasing association. Okay, and I'm going to tell you one quick story. They went to St. Croix to try to take the signal that we have here and move it to St. Croix, so we wouldn't come to Pennsylvania. We found out about it. I sent Mike Bellezzi down to St. Croix. They raced once a week, the former Horsemen's Organization in St. Croix, and we showed up at the facility there and said, "We now represent the horsemen."
Thank you, Mr. Bunda.
That never happened.
If you, quick 5 seconds, just to wrap it up. I do need to give equal time for every candidate. Just about 5 more seconds just to wrap that up.
Accomplished a lot, and I'll address the question about the Racing Commission if someone wants to ask me that question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. DeBunda. Mr. Hutt, 3 minutes begins now. Thank you.
3 minutes? I thought it was 3 hours, Chris.
3 minutes.
Anyway, hi, I'm Bob Hutt, and those of you probably know me, see me sitting in the grandstand. I've spoken to many of you. You know me as Bob, you know me to make a joke and fool around, but you don't know my professional background. So let me start there. At 16 years old, I made my first bet, $2 at Monticello Raceway. The way I tell the story, the horse broke stride, disappeared on the Monticello Quickway, and here I am, $10 million poorer, still trying to get even and get that $2 back. But that's where I developed my passion for horse racing. Nothing was ever given to me. I've worked all my life since I'm 12 years old. I'm a proud veteran, as my father was before me. I believe what's right. And listening to all the trainers, some of them large, some of them small, everybody needs a level playing field. Everybody's got to eat. Dave O, I've spoken to him about that. Joe Wilson, about renovating the dining room at Parks, getting new TVs. I'm not in any leadership position. This past January, Uptown Charlie Brown is my stallion. I bought a second one, Eastwood. I went to the PHBA and said, why don't we have a Pennsylvania sire series, similar to what they had in Florida? I thought it would be very successful. It would help Pennsylvania breeding, and we accomplished that. I'm also the person that got the trainer's bonus for all of you. Owners don't get that. That's for the trainers. I know how hard you work. I know the hours you put in for little reward. When the pandemic hit, the Philadelphia Inquirer went after ending breeding and racing in Pennsylvania at the bequest of the governor. Our current president had a conflict of interest and didn't respond. Bob Hutt wrote the op-ed piece in response to the Philadelphia Inquirer, a gentleman by the name of Steve Woods. He wrote it. 2 weeks after I presented it, he resigned from the newspaper. Crisis solved. We've had an ongoing problem with Governor Wolf for 3 years. You have a president who supports the governor, was appointed by the governor, and that to me is conflict of interest number one. Whenever a matter goes before the Racing Commission, Mr. DeBunda recuses himself. We have problems here at Parks. We do not have a level playing field. I don't think any of you need me to tell you that. I've been told we can't do anything about it. If I do get elected, the first thing we do is we're going to try to make this a level playing field where everybody has a chance. It's not, I hear it every day, we're running for second or third money. That's ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hutt. We are going to go into our next segment here. Thank you. Thank you. Gentlemen, I'm going to ask you one general question. Each candidate will answer the same question. You will have 1 minute to respond. Mr. Catalano, I will start with you. What qualities make for a leader of an association? This is the second part. What are your strategies for negotiating, whether it be with parks management, legislators, or fellow horsemen?
Great question. As a trainer, my whole life, I've learned to work with people as a group. And negotiating anything, I'm going to call on the people that are, available to us. People like John Finelli. People like John Julia. We're gonna put our best minds together. I'm not going to work like a dictator, and I'm going to put our best minds together, and hopefully they include everybody and we're going to bring it to the people, and we're going to discuss things and talk about them, and then we're going to get the job done.
Thank you very much. Mr. DeBunda, same question. What qualities make for a leader of an association? Second part, what are your strategies for negotiating, whether it be with parks management, legislators, or fellow horsemen?
I believe that listening and communication are the two most important parts to being a leader. You need to listen to the opinions of the others that you're dealing with, and you need to communicate to the members of that board and to our membership as much as you can. So I think that those there, I happen to have represented a lot of large companies, and therefore I learned from them and learned to pick people from both inside the organization and outside who can contribute to us. In negotiating with the management or others, I believe that there are two different kinds of trainers or board members, ones who worry about themselves. I don't think I heard too many people talking about that today, but you have to be wary of that happening. And two, who cares about what happens to the entire organization? And that's the kind of directors we need, that's the kind of manager we need, and I think that I have shown in 27 years that I fit that bill.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hutt? Same question. What qualities make for a leader of an association? What are your strategies for negotiating, whether it be with parks management, legislators, or fellow horsemen? You have 1 minute, begins now.
I believe in transparency. That means nothing is done in secret. When the board meets, the public, you have a vested interest in this. You should be there to hear what the strategies are, what we're going to do. As far as negotiations, the current deal we have with the casino is one of the worst deals I've ever seen in my life. I think I should know something about negotiations. I was the head of Cigna, National Claim Director, and I've negotiated maybe 5,000 to 10,000 deals in my life. When I looked at the deal we currently have, we have no securities, we have no guarantee, and we could be out of business today. I'd be happy to expand on that if asked the question and the reasons why. But basically, when you negotiate, you have to listen to other people, you have to be prepared for what they say, and know and stand up for your rights. And this group has not been represented in the best interest. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hutt. We have random questions at this point. They will be addressed to the same candidate, so I'm going to ask you not one but two questions, so just be prepared for that. Mr. Catalano, I will start with you. They are random questions, and you will have 1 minute to respond. Okay? Mr. Catalano, have you ever served on a board at any track? If so, when and where? You have 1 minute to respond.
I served on the board in New England for 2 terms. I believe the years were like 98 to 2004. During that time, I got a lot of experience. I had an opportunity to learn how boards work and how they best serve their people. Unfortunately, New England didn't make it, or else I wouldn't be sitting here today talking to you about it. I'd be sitting there. I also served on a board that was with a racetrack that was proposed in New England, and got a little opportunity there to learn a couple more things from some very smart people.
Thank you very much. One more question. Shoot. Folks with the phones, please make sure your dings are off, you're silent. Mr. Catalano, how do you plan on representing the horsemen in Harrisburg? Do you have any legal experience? And what experience do you have with lobbyists? That will be a 1 minute response.
Great question. This is something that I'm very passionate about right here. I believe that we don't do enough to educate people that are in Harrisburg. We don't bring them out to the track enough. We don't. In Kentucky, they had a way of bringing out the people to the track, introducing them to showing them why we love this sport, and showing them the outreach and the people that are in this industry, in the farms, in tax stores, and, just showing it from our point of view, whereas people don't get to see that. And the education of that is what's going to help us in Harrisburg. When they realize that, horse racing is so wide that they'll, come to understand the way we look at things. And I just want to bring people in to see that end of the business.
Thank you very much, Mr. Catalano. Mr. DeBunda, you will be next. 2 random questions. You will have 1 minute to respond. Here is question number 1. Can Mr. DeBunda please explain where the $20 promotional fund debit from all purse transaction goes, and approximately how much is the total per year in recent years? Thank you.
Okay, that's the $20 that I assume. I'm asking you a question back. I want to make sure I'm answering the right question. You're talking about the money that comes out of your purse, the purse money, for basically purse protection and promotion. Is that
the way that I'm going to read the question? And as far as being well versed in this area, I might be looking for somebody that wants to assist if there needs to be further explanation here. But can Mr. DeBunda please explain where the $20, it's put in quotations, promotional fund, debit from all purse transaction goes, and approximately how much is the total per year in recent years?
Okay.
Are we good on the question? I'll give you the minute.
I'm going to answer the question as if that's what you're asking about. Jack,
I think all owners get $250 when they start. the jock comes out of there, and 20 goes to the PAC.
Okay.
That's the question.
Is this where we're
I just
at?
wanna make
Yes.
sure
So
I'm
this is the
answering.
fund that we're talking about?
Yeah.
I didn't write it, but I believe that's.
But that,
Thank
I'm
you.
going to answer the question, is that is what we're talking
Thank you.
about.
Your
can
1 minute
start
will be,
my one
you got it. Your 1 minute starts now. Thank you.
We used to try to raise money for political action committees, and we would send out letters to everybody. We'd get $100, $200. We got no money. So we started to put in what we call the Purse Protection and Promotion Fund, and that's what the $20 is. That runs about $300,000 a year that comes in from that. We can't. It's not all used for that purpose because you can't use corporate money for a PAC. You have to use individual money. So if individual money is taken, that goes into the PAC. If a corporation's money is taken, it goes into promotion. Okay, that we then use, we deal with our lobbyists, and we give out maybe 100 checks a year to different legislators. We try to meet with them personally, face to face, and that's how that money is spent to give attention to us that we were never able in the past because we had no PAC money. I hope that answered the question.
Thank you. Second random question. Okay. This is a long question here, Sal, so I want to make sure that we get this.
Do I get a long minute to answer?
Well, let me just make sure that we're clear as far as understanding the question, and then I'll go ahead and give you the minute from there once we have confirmed that we understand what the question is. Mr. DeBunda, myself and many other owners see a clear conflict of interest in you representing us horsemen as president of the PTHA, while being appointed as a racing commissioner by a governor that has tried to abolish breeding and racing. Why was it Mr. Hutt that wrote the op-ed piece against the Philadelphia Inquirer and not you? Is that...
Well, I can't answer that in a minute. I can go as far as I can. You've asked 3 questions in one question.
Yeah, the audience has asked the question, sir, but I just want to make sure that you
But I'll attempt to cover
basically trim it down as much as you can in 1 minute.
I'll attempt to cover as much of that as I can.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. First of all, when Mike and I, this was referred to, we'd go to Harrisburg, the meetings would be 20 minutes. We would drive an hour and a half. They'd walk out and say, disapprove, not approve, but we go home. So I found out that horsemen weren't involved at all because you couldn't be a horseman and be on the racing commission, which made no sense to me. So we pushed for horsemen to be on there, and the Republican-led legislature put in this statute that said the governor gets to appoint 5 members from each breed, and a breeder and an owner from each breed, a veterinarian, and 4 other things. The governor doesn't pick a friend of his. He gets a list from each of these groups. These are the people you can pick. I was on this list for the horsemen, and I got picked. Okay, so I had never met, I think I had met the governor once. I met with the governor, and he said, what would you like? I said, leave us alone. That's all I asked for. He said, you got it. He didn't leave us alone, and I never talked to him again. So this idea that I'm some friend with the governor doesn't make any sense. There's more to that question.
There is more to the question. Do you want to just address this, just to kind of finish that up? The main portion of the question at the end reads, why was it Mr. Hutt that wrote the op-ed piece against the Philadelphia Inquirer and not you?
Okay. First of all, as a member of the commission, I don't have authority to do that because that's done by the commission itself. I don't have the authority individually to do that. And 2 is, the commission and I had a big fight about this. The PR is put out by the office of the head of the agriculture department, not by me. So I didn't have the authority to do that. I wrote a letter with the commission and with others to oppose all these steps, but I couldn't write personally about them.
Thank you very much, Mr. DeBunda. Okay, Mr. Hutt, we will move on. We'll have 2 randomly selected questions here, and then we will go into our audience questions, and we'll ask the questions the same way that we have talked about before. Thank you. Mr. Hutt, you'll have 1 minute to respond. Again, these are random questions from the audience and those folks that did drop those questions off at the PTHA office. Mr. Hutt, lots of negative comments and opinions of current leadership. What policies or personnel would you change at PTHA or Parks Racing? Is the question.
It's a pretty good
1
question.
minute, thank you.
There are many conflicts of interest with Sal DeBunda being the president. He supports the governor trying to put us out of business. He negotiated a deal in which a lot of you here think you have a guarantee coming from the casino slot fund. You do not. You could be out of business tomorrow. If there's a fire in that casino tomorrow and they have to renovate, it's closed down for 6 months. We learned during the pandemic from Mr. DeBunda that he never met with the governor, he never negotiated, while we were being told to continue to train our horses. My group, Uptown Charlie Brown Stud, spent $400,000 thinking we were going to open tomorrow. We never did. The reason, the reason we couldn't reopen was we had no funds to support racing, and Mr. DeBunda knew this. He also sent his horses to Maryland.
I'll let you finish that statement. 5 more seconds.
Yes, there's many, many different conflicts here and many hidden charges none of you are aware of. You talked about a $20 fee. How about the $325 per start you're going to pay if HISA passes their legislation where we have to pay $3.8 million to each owner and trainer?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hutt. Move on to the next question here. Mr. Hutt, do you have any litigation ongoing against anybody connected to the front side or the racing office? And if so, how will that affect negotiations when trying to negotiate a new racing agreement with them? Have we understood the question? One more
I
time?
understand the
Got
question.
it? You got it. 1 minute. Thank you, sir.
I have no litigation going on with anybody at this time. As far as my litigation experience and negotiation, since I have a minute left, I've been doing it for 40 years. In New York State, I have done 7 of the 8 appellate court decisions for the judges. I've lectured the bar. I've lectured judges. They entered judgment on cases over $250,000 in New York State. It's my methodology in the law for entering present value judgment. I've negotiated all my life. I've run an insurance company. I've had 4,000 claims and attorneys people reporting to me. I run Uptown Charlie Brown Stud. We have $7 million invested in breeding and racing at parks. And I've brought about 500 new average players to the game that support parks. I agree with Danny Velasquez. We have to bring in the young people. The average age of the racing fan here, I make a joke, is deceased. We need to bring new young blood. We need people not to feel threatened. And if I get elected, we're going to have a committee, we're going to have transparency, and
you, Mr.
also, one last thing, it's important.
Very quickly. Thank you.
One last thing for you trainers that have insurance and pension plans. I'm licensed with every major company as a general agent in the United States. I'm talking the creme de la creme.
Thank you, sir.
Everybody gets an opportunity once a year to go aggressive or conservative on their plans and gets a statement. But I'm hearing from a lot of you.
Thank you, sir. We got it. We got to keep equal time. Last couple seconds. Last couple seconds. We want to say something, and then we're good. Thank you. Okay, we're going to have some audience questions. It's going to come from the crowd here. We're going to have a microphone set. Once we get that microphone set, okay, we're good to go. So then we're going to have you come up, please. Again, please make sure you let us know who you are, which candidate you would like to direct that question to. And also, we're going to have time for about 6 of these responses. So we do ask that we will kind of spread it around evenly to which candidate you would like to address that question to. Thank you very much. So we will start here. Okay. I'm just wondering if it would work better if I use my mic and then we leave Sal's mic there. Okay. Is that okay? Maybe that'll be a little bit better. Thank you. Yeah, I can walk around. I'm comfortable walking around. If you'd like to ask it right there. Yes, I'm Chris. Yes, sir.
Questions for Mike Catalano. Mike, in my time...
Just introduce first who you are and then which candidate you would like to address. Thank you. I know.
Jack J. Armstrong. Mike, my question is, it seems like there's a little fraternity among trainers, and trainers won't speak bad about each other. You're the only trainer up there. If and when trainers get caught doing something they're not supposed to be doing, any hesitancy on your part to take care of it?
None. None at all.
1 minute to fully respond.
That says it all, just what I said. Is, this is a game that needs to be cleaner. It needs to be on a fair playing field for everybody. And if you're caught doing something wrong, which is going to happen because where there's money involved, people are always trying to take an edge. And if you do get caught, your penalty should be stiff.
Okay. I believe we're going to be okay here with another question. Go ahead. Let me make sure that we're doing this right for the live stream, though. I just want to make sure. Would you like people to walk up to the podium to ask? From this light here? Why don't you come up here, sir? I think we can do this. I think this will be all right. That way I'm staying out of the way. Okay. Yes, sir.
Greetings, I'm Dr. Mike Chavanis. I've been blessed to have been able to work for a lot of you. In high school, I was a horse's ass, so I became a horse veterinarian. I'm just wondering, of our elected officials across the country in the THA, are any of them paid, and are any of our elected officials in our organization paid directly or indirectly for their service? Direct specifically to everybody. I want their thoughts on it.
Okay, are we understanding fully the question? Okay, do we each want to respond to that question? I'll give you a very short time to respond to that question if you would like.
I don't understand the
I'm
question.
happy to respond.
Go ahead, Mr. Catalano.
I'm not aware whether or not other organizations pay their elected officials like president or anything like that, but I don't feel it's necessary. This is something that we're doing out of love for the sport, and we're doing it to better everything for everybody. And if we do pay somebody here at Parks, directly or indirectly, that's going to have to be looked at, and we'll make a decision on whether or not to go forward on that.
Response, Mr. DeBunda?
Yeah, our bylaws do not permit the president to be paid, but I am paid occasionally as a lawyer. Okay, but I am not paid as the president.
Thank you. Mr. Hutt?
Yes. As running for president, I don't expect to make a dime. Everything's transparent. It's my understanding that not only is Mr. DeBunda serving on the board, but he's also serving as counsel, which is another conflict of interest, to the board, and that they hired another attorney about the bylaws that are 27 years old, have never been updated. The Bill of Rights and the Constitution have had 10,000 proposed amendments and 21 changes in 245-plus years. We haven't had one. We are not allowed to campaign. We are not allowed to talk to a group. We have no free speech, and we have no right to assemble peacefully to discuss the issues that have been discovered. I believe Mr. DeBunda is getting a salary, or his firm is, as counsel. And why we had an outside attorney for the bylaw, there's another conflict of interest. Why did they take the money? It's your money, people. The $10 million that's going for testing is your money. You don't see it taken out of your starts, but you're paying about $1,000, and now they're about to add another $375 a start that you're never going to see.
Thank you, sir.
That money belongs to you.
Thank you, sir. Again, introduce your name, which candidate you'd like to ask a question, and go ahead and ask your question, and then they'll have 1 minute to respond. Thank you.
Steve Appel. I wanted to ask Bob Hutt, in the interest of transparency, do you have a relationship with Eric Hamelback, the president of the HBPA? And what is your feeling about leaving the THA? Can you speak honestly to the membership about leaving the THA and joining the HBPA instead?
Okay.
Thank you. 1 minute to respond.
I know Eric Hamelback from 15 years ago when he ran at Dina Springs. I met him one time. Over the course of the last 15 years, I've spoken to Eric about 5 times total. I am never leaving. All I care about is parks. I have had no conversations with anybody about anything, but thank you for addressing the rumors that have been circulating. I've spoken to Eric 5 times in my entire life.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Time for 3 more questions. Again, let's just kind of go with this format if it's okay. I know we've kind of adjusted, but please make your way up here. I think this kind of works okay
I object.
for what we're doing.
I object.
Again, sir?
He is not a member of our association. He's not a member. He's a counsel that represents people, and an excellent counsel, by the
Sir?
way. But he does not represent, he's not a member of this organization.
Okay. Is that? Okay. Unfortunately, we cannot get to your question. Thank you very much, sir. 3 more questions. This is your opportunity here to get those 3 questions in. Again, this is your opportunity to ask those questions. If we do not have a question, then we will continue on. Very good. Okay, candidates, at this time, what's going to happen is basically you're going to have your 2 minutes. 2 minutes to make a final statement as you're closing out here for the office of presidency. One thing I wanted to add, I probably should have added this earlier, but that little camera right there also is that live stream, that audience that's watching. So not only speaking to the folks that are here, but also the audience that's watching wherever they are across the way. They're on Facebook on the PTHA live stream. So you'll have 2 minutes. Again, you'll hear the bell. Mr. Catalano, I'll give you the first opportunity. Thank you.
Well, it's very impressive that everybody's, interested in, and I'm very happy to serve as president here because I'm going to bring the people and groups together. I'm going to ask everybody to pull their own weight and join in on many issues. Your problems are my problems. I don't go home at night thinking, what am I going to do tomorrow that's going to benefit myself. I think about what's going to benefit racing, because racing has to survive. It has to thrive for everybody to thrive. And in the future, we're just going to have to treat things a little differently. We're going to have to address the problems as they come and not run from them. We're going to have to, look to future revenue streams coming in. They have other states that do things like bring in tax dollars directed directly from the equines. We need to start looking elsewhere than just piggybacking on slot machines. And the time has come where we got enough smart enough people around us to find those revenues streams. And I'm very fortunate to be up here today, and I'd like to represent these people in the future, all of us together. And I feel like I do a great job. But I don't want to do it alone. I want to make sure that, people stay on that are going to help us and help us lead into the future.
Thank you very much, Mr. Catalano. Mr. Gabunda, your 2 minutes, final statement.
Yes, I'll make this as quick as I can. First of all, a question was asked of my opponent. You keep saying negative things. Do you have anything positive to say? And then his response is negative about me. So I guess that's what he has to offer. Okay. Then number two is this idea that I support Wolf. I told you before, I've met him one time. He didn't give me what I wanted. I'm on the Racing Commission. I was appointed 8 years ago for a 3-year term. He's never renewed my membership on that. He could get rid of me tomorrow if he wanted to. The only reason I'm still there is because until a successor is picked, I'm there. But as soon as someone is put in as a successor to me, I'm gone. Okay, so this idea that I support his programs and all, just not these other things about the $10 million and all that, we are paying for the testing. But that was not done by me, and it was done by then, before I was ever even on the commission. That's what we had to do to keep live racing alive. If we didn't do the testing, we weren't going to have it. So I support him on that. We shouldn't be paying all that money. 2/3 of the money we get here goes to parks, 1/3 goes to us. We pay 100% of the bill for the testing. So I agree with you. I think all the ideas today are good ideas, but I want to be clear that what the good things you have here today are because of me. You can be negative about me and all you want, but what you have is because I did it with this board and with our outside consultants. That's why you have them, okay? But I'm willing to, I said to you, listening was one of the most important things to being a leader. I'm listening today. I'm here to listen. I'll listen in the future, no matter who the board is and no matter who wants to talk about it. So I'm here to do that. But believe me, I have always had this organization as the #1 priority, and you can ask anyone you want about that. And as far as accusations against me, I hear a lot of accusations, no proof. No proof. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gabunda. Mr. Hunt, you have 2 minutes. Your final statement begins now.
I'm going to use my last 2 minutes to expose a fallacy here. Everybody thinks that we have a guaranteed horseman's trust fund. Mr. Gabunda, by his own admission, was the lead negotiator in 2004 when the deal was negotiated. They keep that agreement in secret. I've asked for a copy. It wasn't provided. However, they did let me look at it. In the agreement is the word live casino slots. Now, Mr. DeBunder can say he couldn't see the future, he didn't know about the internet, he didn't know about internet gaming. He could say whatever he wants. But fact one is the internet came about in January 1st, 1983. In 1991, a little company from a garage named Amazon, nobody knew who they were, but here in 2022, soon to be 2023, if you own a business in a mall, you're out of business. Mr. DeBunder could say he couldn't foresee sports wagering or casino slots, but that wouldn't be true, because in 1994 there was internet wagering. The firm that represented you in the negotiations was Polino and Lentz, another firm that Mr. DeBunder was part of. If the casino closes for renovations, 3 months, 6 months, we have no income, no way to operate. Also, you were getting day money. You were getting between $100,000 and $130,000 a day before the deal was made with the casino slots. You were getting that from Green and Hogwood. You guys got live casino slots. There have been 8 satellites opened. There's going to be another 10, 20, 30, 40 in the future. People stay where they are. This casino has less play. Your revenues go down. And the last thing I'm going to say, you were the Beverly Hillbillies. You had the gold. You had all the leverage. They could not have casinos here without you, the horsemen, giving your consent. Well, management here, Greenwood, those two gentlemen, they own 10% of the casino, everything. They don't care if this racetrack is here anymore. Why was the word live put in that contract? And how are the horsemen protected? You are not. So that's something else that was never brought to your attention. And if you don't have businessmen and negotiators on that board, you're in trouble. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, Mr. Hutt. Appreciate that. Thank you to all of our presidential candidates, Mr. Catalano, Michael Catalano, Salvador DeBunda, Esquire, and Mr. Bob Hutt down at the end. Thank you very much. In closing, gentlemen, thank you so much once again on behalf of the entire PTHA, all the folks that are watching on Facebook live stream. I'd like to thank everyone for attending today's meeting. Make sure you're on the lookout for those ballots. Those ballots will be in the mail over the coming weeks. Make sure you go ahead and vote. Happy holidays. If you do have any questions, you can contact the PTHA office. Thanks to the best PTHA office team. I appreciate your time. I could smile again. I've been holding this in for like 3 hours, so I can't wait for whoever's buying lunch. But good luck in your elections, and good luck to everybody that's running here this morning. And have some safe racing. We'll see you guys.